If I could pick one problem to magically solve for all of my therapy clients and all of my coaching clients that I thought would have the biggest positive net impact on everyone combined, I would fix their sleep. Almost everybody I work with in any capacity has some type of difficulty with sleep. And that makes sense when you consider that sleep is negatively impacted by pretty much every mental health condition there is, as well as general life stress and problems. On the flip side, sleep also negatively impacts almost every mental health condition, as well as our ability to manage stress in general. When we don't get enough sleep, our brains don't work right. Our executive functioning, which is our ability to focus, concentrate, remember, be efficient. Our emotion regulation, which is our ability to feel big, distressing emotions and figure out how to contextualize them and make skillful decisions about what to do with them. And our social functioning, our ability to connect with other people and deal with humans in general, are all impaired. So when you struggle with sleep, it tends to create a downward spiral because as your stress gets worse and as your mental health gets worse, your sleep gets worse. And as your sleep gets worse, your ability to cope with your stress and your mental health conditions gets worse. But sleep is also deceptively complicated because as much as people will tell you, just go to bed, just close your eyes, it's not that simple. And that's about as nuanced as telling a person with a restrictive eating disorder to just go eat a cheeseburger. There's a little bit more to it than that. And if you're really struggling with sleep, it's going to require some amount of strategy and technique to fix it. So today I'm going to cover 8 reasons why your sleep sucks and what you can do to try to fix these problems. The first reason that your sleep sucks is that you do not have a sleep schedule. It is very, very difficult, nearly impossible to wing it with sleep. Your body and your brain need to know when you're going to be sleeping in order to start the cognitive and physiological changes that help you get tired and feel ready to go to bed. If you don't have a schedule, whether that's you stay up late and sleep in on the weekends, or you just literally have no schedule and just have a total freeform, like I just go to sleep whenever, they don't know when to do that. And as a result, you don't ever really feel tired in the like, I could go to bed kind of way. You feel tired in the like, I don't have enough energy or focus or concentration to really do anything or be productive right now, but you don't really feel tired either. And you just get stuck in this sort of zombie like state for long periods of time where you can't do anything, but you also can't go to bed. If that's something that's happening to you, you probably need a schedule. You need to select an 8-hour window of your day. And during this 8-hour window, there are 2 acceptable activities you can be engaging in: sleeping and trying to go to sleep. Anything else during that window is suboptimal and counterproductive. You need a schedule to sleep well. And if you don't have one, I honestly wouldn't worry about these other 7 reasons very much until you have one. The second reason your sleep sucks is that you don't have a wind down time. If you're trying to just like do really fun, exciting things or be productive and get work done until the moment you go to bed, you are actually skipping a really important part of your sleep cycle, which is the wind down time. When you're awake and alert, whether that's because you're having fun or getting stuff done, your brain is primarily producing beta waves. During periods of time when we're calm, relaxed, tired, like right before you go to bed or right after you first wake up, your brain is producing alpha waves. In alpha wave mode, you are still awake and conscious, but you're in a very different psychological state than when you're in beta wave mode, and it is a precursor to sleep. So if you're doing beta wave stuff right up until the moment you get into bed, it's going to go one of 2 ways. You're either going to lie there awake and alert for a long period of time because you didn't give yourself a transition and you might develop insomnia as a result of that, or you're going to fall asleep quickly but still be really tired in the morning because you actually missed part of your sleep cycle. You might have missed an entire sleep cycle because you pushed yourself to stay awake too long and you pushed past that alpha wave mode. So try to designate a 30 to 60 minute period of your day right before the time when you're going to actually go to bed as your wind down time, and focus on calming, relaxing, down regulating activities during that period of your day. The third reason your sleep sucks is that you're too stressed to go to bed. This is obviously a very common one, especially for people who have really busy active lifestyles where it's just go, go, go all day long with work and kids and whatever else. And if that's how you live, the first moment in your day when you really have time to like actually think about your life and did I get all my stuff done today and what am I supposed to do tomorrow and does my life have any meaning and is it actually going in the right direction, is when you're laying down and trying to sleep. And obviously those types of thoughts are not very conducive to falling asleep. If that's something you struggle with, a couple categories of things that might help you are relaxation activities and worry journaling. Relaxation activities are an incredibly broad range of things you can do to try to help yourself calm down and get ready for sleep. And that could include things like deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, visualization activities, aromatherapy, listening to calming sounds, certain spiritual practices. I mean, there literally thousands of things fall into this category. But generally, things that help you calm and relax and feel ready for bed are going to be helpful here. Worry journaling entails having something by your bedside, something that's easy to get to, like a notebook or a pad of paper that you can write down your thoughts in. Because if you're anything like me, your brain tends to remember things at bedtime that it doesn't remember during other periods of the day that are really important. And as you're laying there trying to sleep, and then you suddenly remember, like, I have to pay my mortgage tomorrow. If you don't have an external reminder, if that thought doesn't exist outside of your head, you will keep thinking about it and ruminating on it over and over and over again. If you can just jot it down in a place that will be accessible to you tomorrow morning, that's often what helps your brain let go of those stressors and worry thoughts. So consider keeping some kind of worry journal to avoid stressful rumination at nighttime. The fourth reason your sleep sucks is that your environment is too loud. Now, this may or may not be your fault. Our environments are not fully controllable. It's a silly story, but I think you guys will appreciate it. I remember one night when I was like 15, 16, I have a lot of sound sensitivity, and I was at this sort of a party, I guess you could say, and everyone was asleep, and there was like 7 or 8 guys there, and like 2 or 3 of them were snoring, and I laid there for hours, and I did not sleep 1 second. It was the middle of winter here in Iowa. It was like -10. It was a really cold night. I eventually got a blanket and a pillow, and I literally went into the furnace room, and I slept like, it's so sad, but at the foot of the furnace, because that was the only way that I could drown out all the weird sounds that were keeping me awake. Even now, I struggle with a lot of sound sensitivity when I'm sleeping, and I found that I can only either sleep in complete silence or if there's a nice white noise or some kind of static sound happening. So a static sound is a sound that basically stays the same the whole time. It doesn't shift a lot in tone or in volume. It's pretty consistent compared to like a dynamic sound, which would be maybe like a television, for example, or a thunderstorm is dynamic, whereas if it's just rain, that's static. Dynamic sounds tend to keep you alert and awake because they're stimulating. So either try to sleep in silence or use some type of generation of static sound, like a white noise machine or a box fan, or even just peaceful music, something along those lines. The fifth reason your sleep sucks is your sleep environment is too bright. If you have a lot of light happening around you while you're trying to sleep, especially if the light sources are dynamic, like they're changing a lot, like a television or headlights shining in your window, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to sleep because sensory stimuli changes like that send signals to your brain that it needs to be awake and alert and engaged. I am a big believer that investing in your sleep, like financially, is probably one of the wisest things you can do. So one of the easiest ways to do that is to get blackout curtains if a lot of the light stimuli is coming from outside of your home. Now, sometimes with sleep, especially for those of you who live with other people or animals or something along those lines, sometimes the sounds and the lights that keep you awake is sort of like a the call is coming from inside the house type situation, and no amount of blackout curtains or whatever is going to keep it out, right? If you're in a situation like that, I would consider looking into a sleep mask of some type. There are many options out there. I personally have one from a brand called Manta Sleep. They make a lot of different masks. The one I have is the sound version. So it's got little Bluetooth speakers inside of the mask. You cannot feel them. It's super soft, super comfortable. But I get to fall asleep listening to the rain or a peaceful creek or whatever I want every single night. I have a sleep playlist on my phone synced up to the sleep mask. It is so peaceful. It has made a big, big difference in my sleep. If you want to check out the Manta Sleep Mask, I will leave some links to it in the description below. They are a sponsor of today's video. They are a product I use literally every single day. and it has made my sleep a lot better. Highly encourage you to check them out if you're interested. The sixth reason that your sleep sucks is that you're consuming caffeine too close to bedtime. I will bang this drum every single time the topic of sleep is brought up, because at least in America, we are such ridiculous overconsumers of caffeine, and then we're shocked that we all have insomnia and our sleep sucks. And it's like, it's not that hard to figure out why that is if you understand the basic physiology of caffeine. It is a stimulant with a half-life of 6 hours and a quarter life of 12 hours. So I'm going to use a slightly different metaphor than I used last time when I explained this. If you go to bed at midnight and you drink a 16-ounce can of Monster Energy at noon, that is functionally the same thing as if, as you're getting into bed at midnight, if you poured yourself like a 4-ounce shot of Monster Energy and just downed it right then and there. Obviously not a good idea if you're trying to fall asleep, right? It's literally the same thing. You should try to keep your caffeine intake limited to like the first 4 hours of your day tops. Even then, it gets a little bit dicey. If you struggle with anxiety, if you struggle with insomnia, caffeine is something you should really, really try to minimize in your life. And maybe, I know this is crazy talk, I know, maybe even consider abstaining from it. If you just try it out, now obviously the first few days are going to be rough, no lie, but if you just try it out, you might be shocked by how much better your sleep gets. And you might also be shocked by how much your sleep getting better makes your entire life better. Just think about your relationship with caffeine. That's really all I ask of you. But when it comes to sleep, it's not your friend. The seventh reason that your sleep sucks is that you're drinking too much alcohol. Alcohol is a depressant, so I know at first it probably seems like it helps with sleep. And in terms of sleep initiation, it actually can. No lie, it can. It makes you calm and tired and relaxed for the most part. So you might fall asleep just fine under the influence of a drink or two. And on paper, your sleep might look really good. Maybe you fell asleep in 10 minutes, slept 7.5 hours, got up when your alarm went off. Good night of sleep, right? But what you might notice is that when you have a night of sleep like that, that looks good on paper, but it was under the influence of some amount of alcohol, you don't really feel like you had a good night of sleep. You don't really feel well rested. The reason for that is alcohol inhibits your ability to reach the deeper stages of sleep, which are an absolutely essential part of your sleep cycle. So when you fall asleep with some alcohol in your system, you tend to just hang out in light to mid-range sleep and rarely, if ever, reach deep sleep. So it's kind of like you took a really long nap rather than actually slept through the night. Really assess your relationship with alcohol and how it impacts your sleep. I am generally of the opinion that anyone with any chronic mental health condition, including sleep problems, should have really minimal, like less than average alcohol intake, and should at least consider abstinence from alcohol. Again, that's a very socially backwards idea. I know, at least if you, like me, live in America, but it doesn't do a whole lot of good for you if you have a mental health condition, and it does a lot of bad. So really, really think about minimizing, if not cutting it out entirely. I personally have not had a drink in probably at least 3 years. And for me, it's not because alcohol has been a problem for me in terms of like health or relationships. It's because I just got to the point where it wasn't helping me anymore. I cut it out entirely and I could not be happier with my decision. And the eighth reason that your sleep sucks is you are too sedentary. To really fall asleep requires you to be both physically and mentally tired. If you are like me, I am a therapist and a YouTuber, so I have like two of the most sedentary jobs on earth. Your day does not give you a lot of built-in outlets for discharging physical energy, which is something that we all need. When you are mentally tired but not physically tired, it's actually like a really special kind of misery because your brain is too tired to really do anything or focus on anything. And you can't really like read or watch TV or play video games or be productive because you have nothing left, but your body is still like ready to go and has plenty of energy. And so you can't actually fall asleep and you're physically restless and mentally exhausted, and it's awful. So if that's something that happens to you a lot, I would consider increasing your physical activity level during the day. Try to maybe bookend your workday, like right before, right after work. Do something that gets some of that energy out. It will probably make a dramatic difference in your ability to fall asleep and stay asleep. As always, I really hope my ideas were helpful for you today, and I will see you next time. Take care.